The astrology forecast for June is fun, honestly. It is harmonious, it is balanced. There is, of course, the contrast and the duality, and that is, in essence, Gemini season, like it is about cultivating more childlike curiosity, a sense of awe and wonder, and following where the curiosity leads you, being creative, doing things with your hands, and mentally finding something to chew on. I myself, I am a week out from turning 35, only just realized that libraries are still a thing and you can just go to these spaces for free and take home whatever books you like for free. Setting up an account is free. My season, go join your local library, read all the things, learn all the things, do the things, disrupt the schedule, whatever you got to do. We're being childlike, we're being whimsy, we are romanticizing our lives. Okay? So here's what we've got. I've written it down. Do start off with Venus is now in Cancer. Jupiter is still there. Jupiter will slip on into the sign of Leo later on, but for now, Venus, Cancer, the energies combined, amplified, love, beauty, money, values, amplified by Jupiter's kind of expansive magic and magnetism. And so our sense of compassion, our urge to nurture, because Cancer is that very nurturing, maternal, watery sign we love, it is going to be this beautifully soft and somewhat romantic introduction. And then we've still got this Uranus Neptune sextile. This has been going on since 2025 and it will carry us through to 2027. This will form exact around the 15th of July, like mid-month, but we're feeling it more, and this is more of a collective energy where we can see breakthroughs and progressive social changes and more openness and receptivity to spiritual things and spirituality as a whole. Is like our intuitive dreams turning into like our practical reality. As we carry through the month of June, this is where we're going to see some of the contrast. So the contrast with life. So while this really beautiful energy is blooming, we then have this shadow seeping in, and that is laterally the shadow phase for Mercury retrograde that is happening. It will station retrograde towards the end, I believe around the 30th of June, the very end of the month. So for the next 3 weeks or so, we are going to have this like this shadow phase. And retrogrades, let's just do a recap. When a planet is retrograde, it's like the energy that is more forward motion, forward momentums, moving ahead is what I'm trying to say. You think as a Gemini I would have a bit more of this going on. No. Forward momentum when that planet is direct. When it stations and goes retrograde, it's almost like as if the energy's flipped and we become much more introspective and we reflect upon things. It can also, because as that planet kind of goes back over and retraces its steps, so as the planet's kind of moved along in its little orbit, it goes back and retraces the steps. And that's why things from the past we thought may have been dealt with, they come back around. Typically things that haven't fully been resolved will come back around to be readdressed because there's more information that you need from this situation. So that's why we might hear from exes, or we might have sudden changes that occur that we think it's not a time for us to go out and make big calls in the sense of quitting jobs, a sudden move, a sudden ending or beginning of a relationship. I'm talking about sudden, the ones that come up within the retrograde period when suddenly you're like, I think I'm going to break up with my boyfriend. If that was something that you'd been thinking of prior to this, then okay, yes, maybe. But if it's something that's just like a light bulb where you're like, I feel like I suddenly need to create a shift, create a change, that's when you almost want to hit pause, take some time, go within, reflect. Use this time to reflect. Mercury governs the mind, our thoughts, messages, technology, short-term travel, the ways we communicate, stay in touch, and stay connected. And it's in the sign of Cancer. So this retrograde is going to occur in the sign of Cancer, which is a very emotional sign. It's intuitive, it's deeply felt. It also speaks to our family, our foundations, our childhood, our upbringing. And so this retrograde can feel really nostalgic in a way, where maybe we're reflecting not only just over June, but over maybe the last few years of our life or even our childhood years. And there might be some stuff that comes up around that. So be mindful of that. Retrogrades are not a bad thing, they are a necessary process for us to slow down, gather more information so that we can then move ahead with a greater sense of clarity. Then Venus will slip into the sign of Leo. And this is going to add a little extra when it comes to our love lives or even how we create money and wealth for ourselves, or the things that we value, how we accumulate more of what we value, because Leo is that it's very performative, it is the entertainer, very charismatic, very much wants to be in the spotlight, very loyal, regal, almost like a doting, just very free, playful, childlike energy. It is that traditional rule of our fifth house of children and also of our creativity. And so, coupled with the sun being in Gemini and then Venus in Leo, beautiful mix, I say. And so, this is an invitation for more play. So, a reminder, the most spiritual thing you can do is have fun. And I posted on this just this week, just on TikTok, Insta, around like cause I work as a clinical nutritionist as well as a Pilates instructor. So I'm in like the health and the fitness industry. And what I've like known to be true for myself and for clients and just for people around me, it's like you can do all the things to optimize, to biohack. You could go on the diets, you could do all of the fitness things, you could do all of these really physical, practical things that you have these resolutions around. But if you are not actively reducing your stress and prioritizing play, the rest can basically go out the window. Like, we need to be prioritizing play from a physical health perspective, from a emotional and mental health and well-being perspective, and then also for our spiritual health. We are spiritual beings inside of this like physical meat suit, you know? And so prioritizing play is the message and the lesson, I believe, for the month of June. Okay. So we are going to create more play, freedom, be childlike, be silly, goofy time. That is your assignment for the month of June. Go have a silly, goofy time. So prioritizing this is only going to reap rewards for you physically, emotionally, and just overall quality of life, like your longevity, your health span, all the rest of it comes down to how well you prioritize play. Like, people are not on their deathbeds thinking, I wish I woke up at 5 a.m. more. I wish I had more ice bars. I wish I was dieting longer. I wish I ran more marathons. Like, no shade if you are running marathons and doing the cold plunges and you love those things. Great. You think they're pleasurable and you have fun and that's your sense of play. Go off. There is that book, Regrets of the Dying. A palliative care nurse wrote it. She interviewed like so many of her patients and put it all together into a book. And most people's regrets were not fully embodying themselves or not prioritizing spending more time with their family and their kids because they were so fixated on work and making money. Many more. So if you want to check that out, highly recommend, because no one's at our funeral saying how well we did, our diets and our fitness thingies and all the ways that we were so disciplined. No, and we're not going to be on our deathbeds thinking, God, I wish I could just like lock in a little bit more. No. New moon in Gemini is happening mid-month. So the 15th here so this is Australian Eastern Standard Time. It'll be exact 12:54 p.m. It's kind of like the middle of the day. So the night of the 15th or the night of the 14th, perfect for a new moon ritual. So new moon in Gemini, this is the time to, almost flows off what we were just saying about prioritizing pleasure and fun and play. This is the time to set intentions around new healthy habits. And I would like you to add to that list of intentions, no matter what else is coming up in your mind. But I'm going to, just as an offering, maybe add more play, more pleasure, more fun to your list of intentions and what you want to bring into your lifestyle and what kind of more like new habits you want to form. But especially if this is the time, if you've been a smoker and you want to quit, Gemini new moon. Gemini rules over the hands, but also the lungs. And this new moon is combined with Mars, which is the planet of action, being in the sign of Taurus. So very tactile, luxurious, sensual, the earth sign, Venus ruled sign of Taurus, very practical, steadfast, also patient. Mars is the planet of like our action and how we go after things. And so being in the sign of Taurus, it's like coming back into our body, knowing what we need to nourish and to satisfy and to indulge our senses. And then the new moon in Gemini is a time to set new habits around mentally, our narrative and our belief systems around what we think about our bodies and our minds, what we believe about our bodies and our minds, and what new habits we want to form that are going to benefit our body and our mind. So Mercury's in the mix there as well. So we're thinking negative self-talk, gone, limiting beliefs, gone, self-doubt, gone. But what's in? Pleasure, play, indulging, creating more health and things that are going to help ground us and get us in touch with our bodies, like reconnect to ourselves, our inner child as well. We're getting rid of the negative so that we've got more space there to be taken up by positive thoughts and beliefs. June 21st is when we have our winter solstice. And that is also the point where the sun will shift into the sign of Cancer. So we're moving out of Gemini season and into Cancer season. So the winter solstice is when it is like the shortest day and the longest night. And it is a time to go within and connect to self, but also to really sit with the shadows. So, as I was saying earlier, with the duality of life and the duality of Gemini season, that may have brought to light, I guess, like the value of play. But as it is that sign that embodies duality and almost two sides of the same coin, it is like we've become more aware of where our lightness and our darkness may reside. And this winter solstice is this opportune moment to sit with both and hold space for both and acknowledge both, that they too exist together and one cannot exist without the other. And shadow work can really look like acknowledging, showing care, kindness, and compassion to these parts that will often try to hide away and not be so proud of. And it's almost like understanding that we are perfectly imperfect and just embracing that. So then, towards the end of the month, we have Mars entering Gemini, and along the way, it forms this conjunction to Uranus, which is trine Pluto. This is a big kind of abrupt, expect the unexpected, unsure what kind of opportunities may come your way. But Uranus is like kind of loves to shake things up. It's the great awakener. Pluto is that planet that is represented by like the god of the underworld. It exposes shadows, it exposes areas where we are trying to gain power and control over. And it's almost like after doing that shadow work with the winter solstice, this can have us nice and ready for whatever unexpected opportunities may come our way. It can feel really exciting, even if it is unknown, because we are just going along and trusting the process. We have a full moon in Capricorn at the end of the month, June 30th, when Mercury then stations to go retrograde. And the full moon will be exact 9:56 a.m. again Australian Eastern Standard Time, so in the morning, so the night before. Again, a really nice time if you want to do your full moon ritual then, or even the day of. And this also marks a point where Jupiter will then shift into the sign of Leo. So we've got this Capricorn full moon, Jupiter, very late degrees of Cancer, about to enter Leo, and Mercury then stationing retro. Full moon is when the moon opposes the sun. So this full moon in Capricorn is opposing our sun in Cancer. Capricorn's kind of like big daddy Capricorn up in the sky, and Cancer is like our mother. And so it's almost like not so much wrestling between logic and intuition, but Capricorn full moon is less about standing on business and more about finding the middle ground between your ability to be so like stoic and your ability to be more emotionally expressive. This lunation can highlight where we may be too disciplined in life rather than devoted to our life. And again, it's coming away from this desire to like lock in and to grind and to do all of these hard things and like grit your teeth and bear it, and be more just receptive and allow yourself to hear what your intuition is saying and go after that, but then still be able to have the structure to map things out and follow it through, if that makes sense. Jupiter will move into Leo, and that's about expanding our creativity, our confidence, and our ability to enjoy this process as we head towards our successes. So instead of kind of working from A to B and kind of jumping from one goalpost into the next, it's about allowing yourself to kind of ebb and flow with the ever changing tides of our emotional landscape and our physical landscapes with whatever's going on in life, and just trusting the process as things are unfolding. Like, we don't have to have every piece of the puzzle locked in. Things are subject to change. We are subject to change. And this Capricorn full moons are that point of releasing. It's almost like releasing these outdated plans that we have and the structure that, instead of giving us a foundation to kind of build on, it's almost like building a cage around us and keeping us so on this narrow path. This full moon's like letting go of those things so that we can be open to whatever it is that we desire for our lives and for ourselves. Less about hustling, grinding, more about connecting and creating. Yeah. And then we'll have Mercury stationing retrograde. And so the peak of the energy that we've been moving through the previous weeks, things that have come up that we've been reflecting on, this is when it's like it could feel heavier, particularly if you have, again, those cardinal sign places, Cancer, Aries, Capricorn, and Libra, predominantly if they're your rising sign. But then also if you are Gemini or Virgo, have those big placements there because they are Mercury ruled. So keeping that in mind, retrogrades are not a bad thing. The month for June is looking really fun on a whole, and it's beautifully balanced. And yeah, it's going to be fun. We don't need to lock in. We need to prioritize pleasure, and we need to also understand the dualities of life and be able to hold both. If you are after any more information, you can always book a personal chart reading. Get in touch over Instagram, DM, whatever you like, comment, subscribe, all of the things, you know. And I will see you in the next video. That's all. Bye. Love you.